class. I told her to go out.
We are going to get started. So I'm going to share my screen so that we're ready to rock and roll, and we will go. Okay, so what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn how to get to understand how the contact management system works in eEdge. And by the end of this, we're also going to have all of our campaigns set up. The goal by the end of this class is to have an 8x8 for buyers and sellers, a 33 touch setup, a mobile app campaign, and a birthday campaign, all set up by the end of this class. So as you begin to add people and contacts to your eEdge, they are ready to go, and they you can add them right into the campaigns. So we're going to start out with, Evan, I'm going to mute you just so that you, if you move around, but you can unmute to ask questions. Okay, so we're going to go into, I'm going to take this back just a smidgen. We're going to go right here into the eEdge control panel. On the eEdge control panel, what we've got here is, oh, I need to share my screen. No, I'm sharing. Evan, can you see my screen? Evan, can you see my screen where you see my MyKW?
On my phone, you mean?
No, on your screen when you're looking at me, can you see my screen up on the one that I've shared that has MyKW homepage?
Well, so I'm on my phone with you.
Yes. Oh, you're not looking at the screen?
Well, I kind of thought it might be handy if I had my own laptop onto KW.
Absolutely.
And so I joined with my phone, so I was like, I can just hear you is all.
Okay, so you're not watching the video on there. Okay, all right. Well, I'm hoping that we're looking good.
Video. Tell me how I need to do that.
So what? You should be able to. Did you just go in and sign into the webinar?
I did.
You did, and you should be able to click.
But it only brought you to, well, let me try something. No, it's only,
You should be able
voice
to,
only.
If you go out and come back in and join the video, join instead of clicking on like calling in, there should be a link to join the meeting that's a URL. And you just go and open up your browser and paste that URL in, and then you should be able to sign in and see the screen at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so either way.
Yeah, I want to follow you, so I'd rather do that, but I'll work on that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, as we go, so right here from the eEdge control panel, we're on the MyKW site. So is everybody on their MyKW homepage? Perfect. So from your MyKW homepage, we're going to click on the View Contacts, which is right here in the lower left corner of your eEdge control panel. Find my laser. Right here, we're going to click on View Contacts. Now, and I need to revamp up here. We click on View Contacts. Oh, I need to get, sorry guys, pause for just a moment. I need to log into the demo account so I can actually create some. Okay. So clicking on View Contacts, that should open up the Contacts Management section of eEdge. So as it opens up the Contact Management section of eEdge, this is going to show all of your contacts without any filters. So from here, you can filter and sort and find the contacts you want to. You can sort and do searches and all those kind of things. But what I want to make sure is that you've entered yourself as a contact. So if you haven't entered yourself, what we're going to do is hover over contacts. So there's Evan, are you with us, or am I keeping up with that?
I am with you.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're looking at the list of the contacts. If you have not added yourself, hover over contacts and click on Add a Contact. So the little gray at the top, hover over it and go Add a Contact, and it should pull up this screen right here. Now, what the first thing we want to look at is this status field. Now, the concept of eEdge is to remember everything for you so that you don't have to remember it. But your clients don't know that you don't remember. That's the concept. This is a permanent record database that you can pull up, and as you're talking to a client, All the previous information they've ever done is in here. And if you utilize eEdge like that, then you find out that it works out that if you utilize the full capability, all of the information about the contact should be in just in their contact. That's a cool aspect of this program. The first field that we're looking at is the status. Now, the theme that we're going to use for this class is keep it simple and keep it consistent. Whenever we decide what we're going to do, we're going to keep it simple and keep it consistent. So as you drop down that status menu, you have a bunch of different statuses. Now, you don't want to use the lead status. There's only one reason it ends up in lead status. And that status is to show that you have not contacted them ever. If they register on your mobile app or on your website or anywhere else, they come into your contacts as lead and you're alerted that you have a new lead that you have not contacted. And every day you should be able to check those and be able to find out which one, everybody those that have not been contacted. So if you're manually entering someone in and you have their information, I would not encourage you to use the lead status unless you want it to remain on your dashboard as a to-do, I have not contacted them. So when it is in lead status and you set up the alerts on your in your eEdge system, you will get alerted that you have a new lead. So I'm entering a contact. I'm not going to use it as lead status. Now there's a whole bunch of other statuses, but I don't encourage you to use all of them because then you have to change them. What makes them hot? What makes them warm? They move from warm to hot to cold to warm to a hot to cold. All of those things I don't recommend. Pick one and know what it means. So I would say enter everybody as a warm lead. Now, if you enter them as a cold lead, you may say, okay, I'm going to use cold because this is someone who doesn't want me to contact them. But you might be able to list that, the cold lead means, because you don't want to delete anybody. You don't want to ever leave somebody out of your database. But you can make them cold so you'll know this is not someone I'm going to actively pursue. Other than that, everything else would have to change, and I hate changing stuff because then if we ever get behind on changing it, our database is a mess. So let's just assume we use warm lead for everything. So change yourself to warm lead. Now you should be able to tab down to the next field, and it takes you to the title. Now what is the theme of our entering our contacts? Keep it simple, keep it consistent. So I don't enter anything in the title field unless they want me to use that. So if they're a doctor or they're a colonel or they're they like to be called Mr. Thompson, I don't leave that in there. But that if I do put something in there, it's because they want me to use that as their salutation. So I don't mind if you use that. You don't have to call me Mrs. Cardon. So I'm going to leave that blank. Now we enter ourselves in there. Now I'm entering Jessica Cardon. But I don't enter, maybe I like to go by Jess. Well, we don't enter Jess Cardon. The reason is if I'm going to write a contract, I need to know what the legal name is. So you're not going to put Jess in that field because I don't want to ever have to remember that that's not their name. So Tommy, my husband, is Thomas. Luckily, because eEdge is here to give you all the remember everything, there is a nickname or salutation line. So I could put Jess or Tommy in the salutation line so I will remember she likes to go by Jess or he likes to go by Tommy. The same thing with the suffix. If they're a junior or the third or a senior, you want to make sure that your database remembers this on their permanent record. So now I tab across and I enter a nickname. My nickname is JJ. And I would only put that in there if I like to be called JJ. Okay? Next one is your gender. Now, why would you want to have the gender in there, male or female? Why would we want to enter that? Mother's Day, Father's Day, Happy, Women's Rights Day, whatever it is. Or if you're looking for all the women and let's say you're going to be at a craft fair and you want to send an invite that's really sparkly and fun and you want to send it to all your women. Or maybe it's a big hunting day or whatever it is. If you want to ever be able to utilize marketing to the male or female gender, you want to make sure to have this in there. As well as sometimes we don't know who, there's kind of the asexual names. You want to make sure you know gender neutral, which gender those are. So I'm going to put female in there. Now, on the next field is company and job title. Now, I don't usually fill this out. And the reason I don't fill it out is because those things may change. And if I haven't talked to Jessica in a while and I go, hey, how's it working at School District 91? And she left that job 3 years ago, I'm going to look like I don't know, I'm not keeping up. But yet those fields are there in case we do need to remember that. If there's something specific that you need to remember where they worked, it gives you both of those fields. But don't feel like you have to enter every single field unless it is something you need to remember for a specific purpose. So keep it simple and keep it consistent. So I'm going to tab down past those. Now the next section is your birthday. It doesn't ask for the year, but it asks for the month and the day. Why do you think we need to have that? Evan or Tammy, why would you need to have the birthday in there? What's significant?
For the birthday card to come out, but also just to, if you talk to them, wish them a happy birthday, if you see them 2 weeks either way.
Exactly right. It's a way to just another touch that's very personal. Now, at the same time, some people run a drawing. They put everybody whose birthday month it is into a drawing each month, and you get a happy birthday. You use it for that lead gen opportunity. Now, we're going to set up the birthday campaign, and it will automatically send them a birthday message for the next 4 years if you have a birthday in there. So you want to have those birthdays in there. So I'm going to put my birthday in there. Next is a purchase anniversary. What kind of opportunities do you have in the purchase anniversary? What could you do around that? The anniversary of the purchase of their home. Sometimes you just call and say, hey, it's another year. There was a family reunion. A guy said on their anniversary, he sent them out a kind of like an annual stock report. Like if you have stocks in a portfolio, you get an annual report of your assets. He said, what if you took the time and every year on their anniversary, sent them an asset report of their house, which is a new CMA? How much has their asset appreciated? What are any new covenants? What are, maybe it's a reminder to increase your insurance because the value of your home has gone up. Whatever it is, that purchase anniversary is a great reminder to do something specific for them. A what? A home warranty. A month before their purchase anniversary, shouldn't they suggest, would you like a home warranty for the next year? Absolutely. So we'll put that in as maybe let's say I closed last month on that house. So I put that in there. Okay, so now we tab up and we get to the type. And the type has a whole bunch of different things. What's our mantra? Keep it simple, keep it consistent. So I do not like to use anything in here that I have to change. So pretty much everybody's a buyer or seller unless they're an agent. That's pretty much how I roll in this situation, because if they're a vendor, they're possibly a buyer or seller. If they're an investor, they're a buyer or seller. All of those things. A renter is a possible buyer, and then they're a seller. So I like to keep it simple and do buyer or seller. Now, the only other one you're looking at is agent. Why would you want to have it flagged as an agent? What's the opportunity there? Maybe something like that. Or you've got a home that you know is coming up, so you want to blast out a flyer to the agent saying, hey, this is coming up. Or I've got a great price reduction. Or, hey, this is offering an agent bonus. It's easy to create something and then blast it out by sorting by agents. Now, you can list down there the agent, and then you move to the subtype. Now, we're keeping it simple and keeping it consistent. So this subtype and category are both searchable fields, but they're subject to one thing that can mess everything up. Spelling errors, human errors. So if you're going to utilize either of these categories, make sure you have a key somewhere that you're going to say, okay, I'm using subtype. Maybe they're agent, and maybe I put buyer's agent. Maybe this is a buyer's agent on the Anderson group. So I want to know it's a buyer's agent because I could put their company over here. So I don't necessarily have to use that subtype, but keep it simple and keep it consistent. So if you're going to use, maybe they're a buyer or seller, but they are an investor. You could use the subtype investor. You could use the subtype renter. You could do something like that and leave buyer and seller there. Now the category, these are searchable. So if you wanted to pull up the entire group of everyone that's in the Stonehaven subdivision, you could use the category of Stonehaven or Bel Air or St. Clair Estates. That way, if you wanted to pull up the group and that idea, you could. Now, we have the ability to do groups. So if you're going to market to them specifically, you're just going to create a group. You don't have to use those subtypes because these categories are subject to error. So just keep that in mind. Keep it simple. Keep it consistent. Now, the next section are the phone numbers. So the phone numbers have 3 different numbers. And because we keep it simple and we keep it consistent, I have just decided how I'm going to use these fields. I've decided the home phone is their main contact number, because I don't care if it's a home phone, if it's a landline or a cell phone, it doesn't matter to me. To me, their home phone is their main contact number. Now, I use the cell phone field if I can text them. I could have the same number in both, but I know if there's not a number in the cell phone field, I can't text them. I need to call them. Now on the work phone, I would put something in there if I'm allowed to call them at work. I don't need to put their work number in there if I can't call them at work. So I know, say during the day, that if there's something in that work phone number field, they prefer me to call them at work. That's how I use it. I keep it simple. I keep it consistent. I may just have something in the home phone, and that means I can't text them. I can't call them at work. I just need to call them on that number. If I have a home phone and cell phone, it might be the same number. It means they prefer me to text them on that number. So we go from there. The next thing with your primary and secondary email addresses. Most everybody has at least 2 email addresses. There's people that have more than that. The primary email address is the email address you want to use for .loop, which means that's the number they're going to use for their contracts, for their paperless contracts. But they may have a second email address, maybe their work email. Maybe they've got an old AOL account that they check all the time, whatever it is. This system will track all the emails in and out that you send, and they'll tag them to this contact if they send them from any email. So you want to have both, whatever, you want to have any emails they've got, any email addresses, you want to have them in there just for tracking purposes for eEdge. Because if I get an email into my old AOL account, maybe that's the one I like to use, but I respond out of my work email because I have it come in, eEdge needs to know that those are both the same person. But the only person you can email to is what's in the primary email address. You can't email this person in their secondary email address. Okay, the next section down is the notes. Of course, a great place to put all your notes. As you're lead generating, you're going to want to put notes in. After you hit save for the first time and you enter in future notes, it time and date stamps them. So now you have a great conversation log as you lead generate to go back in and see everything that all the notes and they're timed and date stamped. The next section is the addresses. It asks right here for the current address, and it has a box for the mailing address. If the mailing address is different, you leave that unchecked and you get a chance on the next screen to enter in a mailing address. Maybe they have a P.O. box. Now in this address section right here, this is usually the home that they're talking about, that they're in, what they're currently in. Now there's a property type, there's a square footage, there's a beds and baths. Why do you think we want to have that in this record? What would benefit us from knowing those 4 categories information? What could we do with it?
I want something 500 square feet bigger now.
Right. Absolutely. I want something 500 square feet bigger. Okay, well, I knew that you were at 2,200 square feet before, so now I know this. What else could it possibly be? Evan, what do you think?
I'm just trying to get back on the live there, buddy. I mean, not live, screen. So tell me the question. Ask me the question again.
Why would we want to know the type of property they're currently in, their square footage, their beds and baths? Why would we care about that, about their current property?
I think that it it totally tells us what we're going to need to go to that's bigger, better, or maybe it's up or down from the size that they're in.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Price.
If they call in and say, hey, we're ready for an upgrade, we're ready to upgrade, you don't want to have to say, oh, how much is that square footage that you had before? How many beds and baths did you have? This is to make it go, oh yeah, let's find something and we'll upgrade. Well, you're in currently this and you want to move, what do you want to move to? It just helps it look like you've got that remembering. Now, at the same time, if you know that we have a shortage in inventory and the hot market is 3,200 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, that's the target market. What if you could find everybody in your database that owned that type of home right now and call them and say, listen, if you've ever wanted to sell, now's the time. That's the kind of stuff you should be able to pull out of your database. That's what these new artificial intelligence systems, the smart zips and those things are doing. They're taking the data you have and analyzing it and giving you feedback on what to do. So if you have all that information in there, you have a way to farm that out. I want to know everybody who has a 3 bathroom house because I can't find one that anyone likes. And I'm going to call everybody I have in my database and say, hey, you have 3 bathrooms or 6 bathrooms. Would you sell? That kind of a thing. So you want to have as much of that information as you possibly can. Now the secondary details, they added this section in only because a lot of people wanted to be able to glance at this record and remember their spouse's name or their kids' names or whatever is going on. So you have a place to enter in the secondary details, which are, first name, last name, nicknames, and the relationship. Is this their partner? Is this their son? Is it a spouse? Is it a daughter? But you want to have that secondary person. If they have someone else in their life that you need to know about, this is where you'd put them. And here's their email address or their phone number and family members' names. Now, you can't email someone or call them from this record. This is merely for information. You need to have a record for everybody individually. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you need to have a contact for me and for my husband? What would be the benefit of that?
And you guys never to each other.
That's exactly right. Evan, have you ever had somebody that didn't talk to each other? That the husband and wife didn't communicate well?
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody.
Everybody.
So in essence, and do you have usually people, the husband and wife, maybe have different differences in likes and maybe different approaches, different personality types? So you don't want to miss marketing the way that person likes to market, as well as they usually have totally two different spheres of influence. I have, the real estate sphere of influence, and my husband has the video marketing sphere of influence. I have maybe my interests are, crafting and craft fairs, and my husband's interests are golfing. And I want both of their spheres of influence. So you want to make sure you're marketing to both sides. So you want to have two different contacts. And as well as when you do paperless transactions, they each have to have their own contact for their own e-signatures. So it's a great time to get that right at the beginning and add both contacts in. This next section that says information and activity, this says time frame, looking in the max budget. Now, I would say, because we're keeping it simple and keeping it consistent, I don't change these. I don't change these because this is actually information that if they register online, it asks them to fill that out. So if there's any information in their system from the time frame, they entered it in and they were an online lead. Because if you put in 3 to 6 months, when did that 3 to 6 months start? How long is that? Where did that go? I have to change it or I'm out of date. So I don't like to change it. I like to keep it simple. So I don't enter these two in. Now, max budget, that might be okay. That might be something I could put in there. It just depends on what you want to do. And the last field we've got here is the check here to send the welcome email to the contact. So there's a welcome email that goes out that sends them a welcome. Hey, I'm registering you on my website. Feel free to go in there and look for listings and set yourself up on alerts, and that goes out automatically. Now, when you check this box right here, it opens it up, and you can customize that email. So you could say, hey, Jessica, it was great to talk to you today. It was so fun to learn about your, dog going to doggy daycare, and now they're, they've graduated and they can walk on their own. I don't know, whatever it is. So if you've talked to them, that welcome email knows it's a personal email, but you don't have to type it all out every time. You can create that template. Now, if anybody knows me, they know there's one thing that I want in that email. What do you think it is? What would I want to make sure goes out the first email every time you talk to someone as the initial welcome email? What's the one thing I love to send out to people? What I tell every agent? The mobile app. Tammy's been in 1 or 2 of my classes. I would be in here, and my first line on my template would be, hey, don't forget to download my free mobile app. And I would have a video. Now, you can change this template up in your account settings so that the template is the same. I would get in there, and I would be putting that in that every email, every single time, download my free mobile app. Put it in there. So you check that box and send out that welcome email to the contact. Now, the very last field that's down here, and it's kind of hidden, is the groups. And as you scroll down, you open up this little gray box. The groups, this is intended. Now, this is the hardest part for everyone to grasp. This is intended not just to create a bunch of groups to find people, because you have categories and searchable fields. This group is meant for marketing. You create a group only if you're going to send specific marketing to this group over and over. Not one time, over and over again. So what's some kind of marketing that we would send out over and over again? What do you think? What marketing would you send out repeatedly? How about market stats? Would you send out market stats once a month? Would you to your database? Sure. So you may be able to create a group that says market stats. And then anybody that would be interested in receiving those stats would go into a group. That's why when I create my stats every month, I can just grab that group and send it out to them. Also, past clients. Maybe you're inviting them to your annual customer appreciation parties. You want to have that goes out. You want to have people, maybe agents. If you're going to send out a blast email to all the agents with a flyer, you would have an agents group. Light touch. I always like light touch. There might be somebody that says, listen, I don't want to get all your emails. I don't want to get so many. And you know that you can only send one a quarter or one a month or something like that. And you have a light touch. You also probably want to have a do not email. There are some people that just don't want your crap. They don't like getting email. That irritates them. They don't want any emails from you. What do you have to know about that group? If they say, I don't want emails, what do you have to do? What changes? Do you think you have to mail them things? Now you got to mail things. You got to call them more. You got to send things in the mail. You got to drop by. And that group is specific that you know that those are the ones that you need to do that for. You also always want to have a long-term marketing group, because every year there's a new 33 touch that comes up. And it opens up every year and you want to redo your 33 touch. And if you have everybody that got the 33 touch last year in a group, when you start the new 33 touch, you just throw them in there and they're ready to go. So you always want to have that long-term marketing group. Now, when you're entering somebody for the first time and you click that group, so you can just throw them in the group right then and then hit save. So I would throw me in this long-term marketing and hit save. Oh, a valid email address is required. Okay, so the minimum that's required on any deal is you've got to have a phone number and or an email address or a physical address. You've got to have one of those, two of those three things. So I'm going to enter in my cell phone number here. And instead of an email address, I'm going to enter my address. Ammon 83406. I'm going to select Idaho. Now I should be able to get away with hitting save. Oh no, it looks like it's going to require an email address. Oh, there you go. So you enter in your email address. Now I'm not going to hit save. I just realized this because I've entered myself in 50 times. But once you hit save, that welcome email goes out to them and it comes up looking like this. So as I look like this, now I have this contact management system and there's more fields or there's more things that open up to this. So now if I'm looking at this and I look across this contact, this is where I could set reminders. I can set a reminder to say, hey, I need to call them back once a quarter. And that will show up on my dashboard to call them regularly so that I can keep up on my 33 touch. So I want to set those reminders. If I need to change that status to cold, if I find out I don't want to work with them. Also right here, what's really neat is the send email. So you can send email right in and out of eEdge. The nice part about that is eEdge tracks all those emails. A lot of us like to keep their communication with our people, and we like to know what we said and how it went. So if you send your emails in and out of eEdge, then you're tracking all of those emails. Now this is the big one that I like everyone to know. This little send listings button. So right up here in the upper right, there's a send listings. Your eEdge is connected directly to your MLS, to the MLS. So you don't have to go into Navica or Paragon and send listings out. Why would you not want to send the listings from Navica or Paragon? What benefit does that have, or what drawback is that by sending them out of Navica? Do they see everybody else? They see the listing agent, all the contact information. You're driving them back to the Navica site or the Paragon site instead of to your site. So when you send the listings from here, you can send those listings and they are driving them back to your website. So they're utilizing your services. And it doesn't have all the other listing agents' names and phone numbers available to them. So that send listings, you just can pull that up, enter in the listing, enter in the MLS number, or go to the filters and search them for all the 150 to 175,000 houses with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and they'll pull them up, and you check the boxes, and then you hit send listings. And it sends them a beautiful email with all the listings that you want, and it drives them back to your website. Now, in addition to sending individual listings, you have the listing alerts. So if you click right here on this tab, instead of going in and sending out reverse listing alerts from Navica, you should be doing it from your eEdge. You go in here and you set the parameters of setting a listing alert. So now they're getting all of the listings that from 150 to 175 that come on the market. And you can set them up to send them out daily, even twice a day, so that they're getting all the new stuff coming on the market directly from you. Now they can also set up those listing alerts themselves on your website. So that welcome email lets them know that. So those listing alerts and send to listings, I think, are two powerful things. Also, if they call and say, hey, you know what, I went into your website, I can't remember my username and password, and you're trying to help them, in this more actions section over here in the upper right, you can resend the welcome email, which gives them their username and password and those kind of things. So you can't give them their username and password, you can just resend them the welcome email from this more actions. Now, the last thing you want to look at as we look down here, here's the notes section. As you do your lead gen, it will time and date stamp those notes. You can add additional addresses in. If you choose a new address, maybe they have a P.O. box, maybe they have a cabin in Island Park, maybe you want to list their rental property and have all of their properties listed there. You'll go down and notice there's an area for buyer requests, so it keeps track of what they're looking for. Here's the section that says, hey, all the emails that we send in and out of this contact are here. You'll notice I've got myself on a drip campaign. So you can see all of these drips that have gone out to me, and you'll notice it also tags whether I've opened them. So you can see over here on the right, whether I've opened those emails and did I click on any links inside those emails. So now you can say, hey, are they getting my emails? You can go in to see, did they get them and did they open them? If you've got a whole bunch of emails sent out and they've never opened them once, what do you think's going on? What do you think's happening if people you're sending emails to are not opening them? Either they don't think they're of value or they're probably going to their junk mail. And so you need to let them know, hey, I'm sending emails and they're going to your junk folder, and go in and take a look at that. Also, if you send out any email, if they send any emails or supplies back, they come in right here, and so they're all tracked. Rather than trying to set up folders in your Gmail so you can track all of them or have 2,000. Evan, how many emails do you think you have in your inbox? Thousands. Thousands and thousands. I saw somebody with 55,000 emails in their inbox because they don't want to delete anything. So if you send the emails in and out of eEdge, they will track both of them. Also, here's more reminders if you need to set any more reminders. Campaigns, we're going to set up campaigns today. You'll see which campaigns they're in. If we have a campaign that's completed, so we take a look at this one, it's completed. I can delete that out of this contacts campaign. You can take all of these out from here. Right here, or I can add a contact to a campaign right here. Now you'll notice these campaigns are listed. We're going to set these campaigns up today. So from now on, you'll be able to click on add contact to a campaign, and you'll have a list of campaigns that you can add them to after this class. So now, last one is groups. If you need to throw them into a group so that you've got maybe your past clients, maybe your do not emails, maybe your agents, whatever you want to do. That's all inside one contact. Any questions on contacts? Can you see how this works and benefits you in your lead gen? And every time you set a reminder, if you click right here up on dashboard in the upper left corner, this dashboard, and you go to this personal dashboard, any new contacts that are in lead status show up right here in new contacts. Right there. Now, upcoming reminders, you'll notice this. I have an upcoming reminder. I set a task to come up 3 months later. Here's the task, and it says when's it's due, and you can check off that you've got it completed right from there. Check it off, and then the tasks are done. So any upcoming reminders show up right there in the upcoming reminders section in the dashboard. So now let's go and hover over Create Marketing, and let's set up our campaigns. So hover over Create Marketing. Evan, are you with me on this? Tammy, are you with me on this? Do we know where we are?
Well, I'm listening to you, but dear, I can't get you visually on my phone. I've tried a couple different things.
Okay, that's okay. Have you got, are you in your eEdge?
I am. Mm-hmm.
So if you go in, if you're in eEdge, just hover over Create Marketing at the top, or if you're on your main panel, click on the gray plus sign to the left of Marketing, My Marketing, and we're going to go into the My Campaigns, or add or manage campaigns from the front page. we're going to go in and do and add the campaigns. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you watch me through, and Evan, I'll talk it through. Watch me through setting up a first campaign. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through setting your own campaign up. And then from there, you're going to set your own campaign up on the next two. So by the time we're done with this, you're going to have all your campaigns set up. And in reality, you can get them set up in about 2 minutes. So here we go. So Tammy, are you watching up here? So first, we add campaign. So we click on this, and you probably have this blank. Are you in this section right here? Is it blank? Or it says newsletter?
It says newsletter, yeah.
Newsletter. Okay, so we're gonna first, I'm gonna walk you through showing them. So you click on add campaign. Once you click this, then it brings up all of the campaigns. You have 62 campaigns to choose from. So what you're gonna do is I'm gonna look at the 33 touch. So I'm gonna go over here to the campaign title and type in 33 and hit search. Now I'm down to 8 results. So 8 33 touch campaigns are available. So now from here, I can look through and select. Now there's team campaigns. Those are not for, even if you have a team, those are not for team members. There's a $1,000 a month team version of eEdge or of Market Leader that it has like multiple locations and those things. So just make sure you're looking at your regular HTML, and then right down below here, you can show the campaign details. If you click on this little gray button, it's going to even let you scroll through what are the pieces of the campaign and how do they look. So you can go through and check, do I want the local expert? Do I want to scroll down and do homeownership matters? Do I want to go through ready for what's next? And you can click on those details and see what's coming up. So I'm going to select 33 touch ready for what's next. Once I choose this template, I click on this blue button. I choose that template. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up to the top. I'm going to see there's 4 steps. I'm going to close this up. There's 4 steps to do. The first one is I always say click on that first step and we rename the campaign. Because what will happen is you'll get into this and you'll find out when you add them to a campaign, all you see is the name. You can't see any details. So if you have a 33 touch ready for what's next and you've modified 2 of them, I usually say at least add the date. So let's put 11/6/17. So I would know if I was glancing at this, hey, that was the one I did at the beginning of November. And I hit save and continue. The next step 2 is review and configure the steps. You could go in here and change the steps around. You can personalize it. You can change the date that they're sent out on or the email subject. You could go in and do any of that personalization. Maybe you don't want in your reminders to do any tasks. You could take those out. But for us, we're not making any changes. Until I've got my business going and I'm doing this consistently, I'm doing exactly how Keller Williams has it set up. So I'm not going to touch those. The next step 3 is add or remove contacts. Well, the one person, we have to start a campaign, we have to have at least 1 contact in there. So who do you think we're going to put in there today? Ourselves. So here, look at this. Here are all our groups. If I was setting this 33 touch up and it was next year and I wanted to move everybody from last year to this year, and I had them all in my long-term marketing group, I could just click add and it would add everybody from that group over in. Now for me, for you guys, since it's the first setup, you're just going to click on contacts up here in the upper left and you're going to search for yourself. So I'm going to hit Jessica. There I am. So I'm going to grab that and add it over. Now I've added this 1 contact and I hit save changes. Now I have 1 contact in there. The last step 4 is review and activate. Oh, it says, just make sure you're saving. I hit yes, continue. Now, it says once the contact has completed this campaign, automatically add them to what? So it has monthly newsletter on here, but I'm going to change this to none. Because my 33 touch, it should go all year long. I shouldn't have to have it roll to another campaign. So I've changed that out. You have to click on, I have reviewed this campaign and its recipients, that little box. And if you click include showcase properties, all of your own listings will be listed at the bottom of any emails that go out. And then you hit activate campaign. If you hit save, it says, hey, it's not done, it's not ready to start, and it will just save it for later. We have to activate the campaign. Now, once it's activated, you'll notice here on the screen, you'll notice all the active campaigns. They're all on. Here are some that are paused or completed. So you're going to find out you'll have all those campaigns. So let's work together and let's do a campaign. I want you guys to add your 33 touch campaign. So from this first screen, are you guys both at Create Marketing on this campaign? And all you should see on there probably is your monthly newsletter. So I want you to click in the upper right, that red button, Add New Campaign. Click that button. Now from here, you've got all of these results. So over on the left, in the campaign title search field, just type 33 and then hit search. Now from here, I want you guys to scroll down and I want you to find the title 33 Touch Ready for What's Next HTML, not the team. Click down where it says Show Campaign Step Details at the bottom of that square. Can you see where you see those? So if you wanted to go through and take a look, you could, but let's just choose this template. So click that blue icon, choose this template. Are we all together? Evan, are you all together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Now scroll up just a little bit and just click on that step 2 where it says Review and Configure Step. Just click on that so it kind of sucks it back up. So now you can just see that you have 4 steps. Click on the first step, 33 Touch Ready for What's Next, and I want you to rename this. I want you to take that HTML off, and I want you to put today's date, 11/6/17. You got to click on 33 Touch Ready for What's Next, and then it'll drop down. And then you click right in this. Did it work? Evan, are you working?
Continue.
Yep, save and continue is next, once you put the date. Now, we're not going to go through and review and configure any of these steps. If you guys, at some point, once you're getting consistent on your lead gen and you're utilizing this, great. You may want to go in and build it more custom. Until then, we're just using what we're going. So we're skipping step 2. Click on step 3, add or remove contacts. Now up at the top, I want you to hit contacts. Now if you have a group, Evan, that is your previous clients or anything, you can move the whole group over. At least click on contacts and add yourself. Click on contacts and then search. You might be the only one there in your list of contacts. And hit add.
So I have a pre-existing.
You what?
I have an existing 33.
Is it the old one? Is it completed?
I think it's the old one.
It might be the old one. So that's okay. So do you have a group in your groups on add contacts that were previously getting it, like all previous clients or anything like that in your groups when you hit add contacts?
I think my groups are, oh boy, there's a bunch. Past clients, self-work archers, market stats, which we just added, all contacts, an 8x8 and a 33 touch. So the 8x8 and 33 touch, you don't really need that group. Now your 33 touch, if you've been consistently putting your new people in, that one might work. If you have your past clients, that also works. But if you've got a group in there and it has everybody you think you want, you could add that whole group over. Would it make sense to just put all contacts into it? Well, do you have agents in there? No. If you don't have any agents in there, then you could. But eventually you may want to have agents in your contacts so you can do flyers and price reductions and those things. So you may not, in next history, all clients, when you add them to the group, this now ties it together. So if you throw them into the group, they're going to get thrown into the 33 touch. So I would probably stick with your 33 touch or your past clients, whichever one has more people in it. But I wouldn't go to all clients or all contacts. Just use the previous 33. Previous 33 touch, yeah. And now what you'll know is when you go and add that to that group, now it ties them together. So you put somebody in 33 touch group, it'll throw them into this campaign. They used to not do that, but now they've changed that. Okay. Okay, we've got it in there, save changes. Now, Evan, if you're going in and saying, hey, I'm getting back into this was last year, you may go in and add more contacts or kind of scrub that group, and that will update the campaign. And you don't have to do both of those. Just go in and put more people into the group or take some out, whatever you need to do, and work in the group. Okay.
Okay.
I've moved them over already, so
Go
I
ahead.
hope that's okay.
Do what?
I moved them over.
Do it. Move them over. Why not?
I,
Now, the only drawback to when I say, like when you said, why don't we add everybody? The drawback is there is an unsubscribe button at every one of the bottom of these emails. And if one of your clients hits unsubscribed, it goes into the system and it does not allow you to add and send them any more marketing because they've officially unsubscribed. So you want to be careful and watch that you're not sending things to people that they don't want, because as soon as they unsubscribe, you've lost your chance to email them. So just kind of keep that in mind, especially if those people that say, hey, I don't want so much of your crap, be sensitive to that and make sure you're sending things that are relevant to them. The last thing you've got is the step 4, review and activate. So click that. You want to change this campaign to where there's no automatically added to the next campaign, none selected. Then you want to check the 2 boxes. I've reviewed the campaign, include my showcase properties, and then you hit activate campaign. Cammy, you're furrowing your brow. Got it? So you want to have none selected on the automatically add them, and we check the 2 boxes and hit activate campaign. Once you hit activate campaign, you should be back to where now you see a 33 touch listed with below your monthly newsletter. Now, Evan, if you have last year's campaign there, you could go into that one, and in step 4, there's a delete. So if you have the old 2016 33 touch, just click on it, click on the name of it to open it, go to the step 4, and over on the right, it'll say delete, and you can delete that campaign out and clean up your campaigns.
How do I find the campaign, though, now where I'm at?
Did you hit save and continue?
I didn't, because I wasn't ready to do that with that one yet.
Okay, so once you hit save and continue, it will take you back to the campaigns, or go up and hover over. You can just hit save, and it won't activate that campaign. It will just save it for later and save the steps that you've done already.
Okay.
And otherwise, hover over create marketing at the top and go back to my campaigns. Okay, now you've seen how easy it is. I did a lot of talking. That took a lot longer because I was talking the whole time. Now I want you to set up an 8x8 for buyers. So let's start with add new campaign on the right. Click that red button, add new campaign. Now in the search.
What if I add 8x8?
What was that, Evan?
I already have an 8x8 campaign, but maybe it's not actively doing anything.
Yeah, is it activated when you go back to the main screen or the main page that has all your campaigns? Is it active? And is it?
It says completed.
It's completed. So is it on the left side? Is it on or is it paused?
It just says completed, and the one above that we were just working on, the 33 touch, says pause.
Okay, so you may want to take that 8x8 out and if it was an older one, you may want to get the new, fresher version.
Okay.
And if there's only, it will say completed when every person that you've added into it has gone through 8 touches. So if you're not adding more people into the 8x8, it will end up completing itself. But every time you add a new person into the 8x8, it starts the number 1, it starts at the first one again and moves through.
Good to know.
Yep. Okay, so now if we're in the 8x8, if we went in and we're looking at the campaigns, if you hit campaign title to search, if you just type 8 in there and then hit search, it should bring up all, oh, nope, you want 8x8. So let's do 8 times 8 and then hit search. You should have 29 results for 8x8s. And now that you can see that there's 2017, 2018 8x8s for buyers. So
I want 0.
The what?
I have 0. Well, I put a space in there. Never mind.
No spaces.
Ew.
8x8 should get you there. Okay, now select one of your 8x8s, and I want you to have an 8x8 for buyers. Now, you can look over on the left, and you can sort it even further, because you can change the collection to Market My Business Buyers. And if you change that and then hit search, now we're down to just 16, because now it's only 8x8 for buyers. So I want you to select. Why don't we just start with the first one? The 2017, 2018 8x8 buyers, Your Journey Home. Let's just select that one. You can come back and add and look at the other campaigns and use those if you want to.
But let's just take that very first one and choose that template. Choose this template. Now from here, what are the steps? Step 1, change the name. So click on the name and add the date.
What do you think? Are you saying take off the your journey home and just put the date, or
I just
eliminate
add
whole-
the date to the end, just so that if I saw a list of them and I had multiple in there, I'd kind of get a flag on which one was which.
Thank you.
Now, 8 by 8 means 8 touches in 8 weeks. Maybe you want to create a 8 days of pain and they get 1 touch every day. You could go in and then step 2 and change those. Instead of going every 7 days, you could go every 1 day. That's when you may want to change the name to, you know, every day at the end or something like that. And you could know I have a true 8 by 8 that's 8 touches in 8 weeks, and I have an 8 days of pain, which is every single day they get something. It's your choice. That might be why you might have the same name in twice. Okay, we're not going to review and configure the steps because we're going to just go as is. Add yourself as a contact. Then I want you to get to the review and activate. Let me know when you've completed step 3. Done. So the last thing is, once you've added yourself, click on review and activate. Now, this is the one where if we are doing an 8 by 8, once it's done with an 8 by 8, it rolls to a 33 touch. Because an 8 by 8 is to take, you know, a buyer or seller from warm or hot into a contract. Once they're in contract, we want to stay in touch with them on our 33 touch. So now drop down that list that says automatically add them to, and you're going to pick your 33 touch. Now you'll notice on mine, there's 1 million. So guess what I'm going to know? I'm going to look at the date. Which is the most recent one I've added? That date on the end sure helps. So now I can roll them. Once this 8 by 8's done, they're going to roll right into 33 touch. Then I'm going to click the 2 boxes and activate campaign. So now I want you guys, without my help, to go through and do an 8 by 8 for, did we do buyers this time? I want you to go back and do an 8 by 8 for sellers and ask me questions along the way.
An alert comes up on mine when I review and activate. It says you have made edits that have not been saved.
Oh, just hit save.
Continue?
Yeah, because if you hit continue, they'll save it, I think.
Okay.
Because probably what happened is when you added the contact, it has to hit save changes, or maybe you looked at some of the steps and you didn't hit save and continue, just closed up the step.
Gotcha.
Okay, do the same steps. I want you to go through and set up an 8 by 8 for sellers. 8 by 8 for sellers. The final one you want to make sure is you have your birthday, your anniversary. You also want to set up your mobile app. So when you go in and search, you can search for mobile and it'll bring up the mobile app and do the exact same thing. And at that point, you should have a 33 touch, an 8 by 8 for buyers, an 8 by 8 for sellers, a mobile app, a birthday campaign, and an anniversary campaign in your system. So when you add your contacts in, you can just throw them into the campaigns right from their contact. Now, there's also a couple other campaigns in there. It's some 12 directs. If you've got somebody who says, I don't want, I only want to do something once a month, or you have, you can go in and look at those 12 directs and have those set up as well. Those are more for the people you haven't met, maybe that are less, that you're trying to warm up into your database rather than that you know really well. Or someone who just doesn't like to get very many emails and then go out once a month. Okay, do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Does it seem pretty easy? It's pretty straightforward. It's very intuitive. A lot of people get discouraged because there's so much in there, but in reality, it all has a purpose. So get in there and utilize those campaigns, get those rolling and start adding your people in, and you'll find out what a great return it is to have an automated 33 touch and 8 by 8s. Okay, we're all done. All done.